Welcome, welcome, welcome. How much does it take to buy a house in Forest Hill? Better way, how much do you need to make in order to buy a house in Forest Hill? What does the salary need to be? How much do we need to be making per year to buy a house in the great city of Forest Hill, which I'm about to cross through as soon as I'm through with our live stream today? Is the audio working okay? I see myself, but oh, you know what? I'm connected to the car. I just got back from cryo freezing. All right, so let's get into it. How much do we need to make in order to buy a house in Forest Hill? Today we're going to go into the exact numbers that are required. So we're going to look at real estate prices. We're going to look at the least expensive home in Forest Hill today. So you're going to see the exact bare minimum. And again, I'll say this one more time. The exact bare minimum that we would need to make in order to buy a house in Forest Hill. Then we're going to go into a medium priced property. So we're going to also look at the third number that we need to get to. And then we're going to see what the most expensive home in Forest Hill would hold us back, or I shouldn't say hold us back, how much we would need to make in order to purchase that home. So let's get into it right now and explore. We're going to go right into our website. So again, it's jaimeresendiz.exprealty.com, and we're going to find homes right now in the city of Forest Hill, and we're going to purchase that bad boy. As you can see, it's not a big town. We have 34 homes to choose from. However, the average price point is $266. What I really like about Forest Hill is its proximity to Fort Worth. And it's one of the biggest reasons that so many of our clients end up going with Forest Hill, because it's that close. It's basically it's the first city that you're going to come across as you're leaving Fort Worth. So this is the closest that you can get into downtown Fort Worth without it actually being Fort Worth. Well, I say that maybe Haltom City, Haltom City, as I have to backtrack real quick, but it's one of the closest. As you can see here, it's not too far off. You just take 287 from the business side, and boom, you are there. So not a bad commute at all. So as you're coming in, I like it's going to go a long way. If you know somebody that's looking and considering Forest Hill and needs a starting point, check out this channel and send them this video. All right, so let's do this right. Let's do this the right way. So I'm going to zoom in over here, and here's the thing to understand about this particular breakdown and the way that we're doing this breakdown. What's most important for me today is to show you real estate prices for sure, but really how property taxes work, how the mortgage payment would be calculated, the interest rates, and everything that goes into the loan. So I know we're purchasing in Forest Hill right now, or giving this particular analysis in Forest Hill in 3 different price points. But at the end of the day, the what's important here is that you know how to plug in these numbers and really get comfortable with your home search and the financing and everything that comes across, that comes along with purchasing a property. That's what I want you to get accustomed to. Now, what's interesting here is that this says it's an 860 foot. There's no house. So they categorize this as a house, but it's a lot. All right, so let's get into it. Now, again, we're going to go into the least expensive home. In this case, we're going to be making $128,000 calculation. Then we're going to go to a mid-priced house, and then the most expensive house, to give you those 3 ranges. We used to just go down the medium price, but I was getting so many different comments saying, well, there's a ton of houses below that. How much would it cost for those? So we're going to go into those 3 price points. So we're going to go and calculate $128,000. We're going to calculate what's the high end? $344. So the most expensive home in Forest Hill right now is $400,000. So that means our mid price is somewhere in between. So we're going to say this rehab property, $230, is going to be our mid-priced home. This does look rehabbed. All right, so those are going to be the 3 price points that we get into: lowest, medium, and most expensive. So let's get into our max price calculator. This is linked down below for you to check it out. As you can see, we have our previous live stream pulled up, so that's how far behind I am today. So we're going to shoot for 130. We're going to shoot for what was it, 230 as well. Let me do this because this is a new format that we're working with right now. What was it? 230. And then we're also going to go with $400, so I don't lose track of what we're doing. 400,000. All right, so these are the numbers that we got to get to, and I bet that we can do it. What do you think? What do you think? Is this too zoomed in? No, we'll be fine. All right, so this is linked down below. Again, this is our max price calculator. This is going to let us know how much we can afford, the max price that we can make an offer on a particular home. So we're going to go all of the numbers based off of Forest Hill specifically. So we're going to buy these houses right now. So again, the least expensive home, this is what it looks like. This is what traditionally would be known as an investor special, which would be bought and rehabbed. Over here, this is what appears to already be a rehabbed property. And then here you have the top end of the market in this particular city of Forest Hill, which is $400,000. So we're going to go through all the ranges, and I'm going to show you how much you need to make in order to afford all three homes. All right, so for the down payment, we're going to make the same assumption. It's going to be a down payment of 5%. Why are we going with 5%? Because we need a starting point. And that's really one of the most common down payment amounts that we have whenever we work with our clients. If we get a conventional loan, we could go down as little as 3% down. If we got an FHA loan, we could go down as 3.5%. We could also buy this cash if we so chose. But so one of the things to note is that if we put anything less than 20% down on the purchase of this home, we're going to be paying what's called mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is taken out by the lender on you in the event that you default. Here's the funny part. You're paying for that. Although they're taking the insurance out on you, you get the benefit of paying for that. And in the event that you default, you turn the property back over to the lenders, and they're going to go and try to save or sell the property to the best of their ability and recoup some money back. With that being said, again, mortgage insurance is something that we would be paying here, given that we don't have 20% down invested in this property. Now, one more quick thing, and then we can keep going. If we were to get a conventional loan at 5% down in this particular case, we're paying mortgage insurance, as we already talked about, but eventually that mortgage insurance goes away. In about 8 to 10 years, that mortgage insurance goes away as we're making payments on that property. So once you get past that 20% owner equity stake, meaning once you own 20% or more of the property, that mortgage insurance goes away. On the flip side, if you get a FHA loan, so if you were to get that loan, the mortgage insurance never goes away. So you're paying mortgage insurance every single month for the life of that loan, which would be 30 years. So I wanted to make those two distinctions as we get into the math of this, because that will be important for us as we get going. Interest rate. What we're going to do is the same thing. Does not matter if you are watching this live, and if you're watching live, a like is going to go a long way. But if you're watching this a month from now, a year from now, 30 years from now, the best thing to do is plug in the numbers as they exist today in your current market. So you're going to go to Google and type in, what is the interest rate right now? So what is the current Texas? So for me, it's going to be Texas, because I am in Texas. For you, it's going to depend on the state that you're in. But since we're calculating a Texas loan, we're going to go with Texas. So the current mortgage interest rates in Texas are 6.5. Now this number is going to change. This changes by hour. So I just did a live stream and the interest rate was like 6.4 something. So this changes by hour. So don't be surprised if you check one day and then it comes up to something else the next day. So for our purposes today, we're going to go with this estimate. Now, this is an estimate. This is an average. So some of you might have less interest rate. Some of you might have higher interest rates. That's just the gamut, right? So there's a range here. How long is your mortgage? We're going to go with the standard 30 years, but you could do a 15-year loan if you so chose. Understand that if it's a 15-year loan, your mortgage payment is going to be higher, but your interest rate is going to be a little bit lower. So there you go. Wait, is that right? What did I just say? It was going to be lower. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I couldn't remember what I said. Yeah, so it's if you go with the lower interest rate, it's going to be okay. Fair. I think I think I said it correctly. Property tax rate. All right, so here's where we gotta do some digging around and understand what property taxes are and what they are not. When you're buying in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you are buying in the state of Texas, period. So Texas in of itself has a higher property tax rate than the average state. It's the 6th highest property tax rate in the country, with New Jersey being number 1. So we know that property taxes are a big deal in Texas. The second thing to understand is in the DFW Metroplex, there's up to 5 numbers that can show up when you're factoring in the property tax rate. So these 5 numbers are, again, up to 5. Yeah, I feel comfortable saying up to 5 property tax numbers, rates that you need to factor in. The first 3 across every single city, they're going to show up. And that is the city tax rate, the county tax rate, and the ISD tax rate. Those 3 numbers we need to find, and we're going to find those today for Forest Hill. So those 3 numbers, bake it into the cake. We have to find them regardless if we're buying in Hearst, Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, Mansfield, Cedar Hill, Plano, Prosper, Denton, Allen, McKinney, Louisville, Coppell, anywhere. So those 3 numbers we need to find: the city tax rate, the county tax rate, the ISD tax rate. The 2 numbers that often come up, additionally to those, are the higher education tax rate. So think of community colleges, and then also the hospital network tax rate. So think of if you're on the Fort Worth side of town, think of JPS Hospital. So that hospital network. With that being said, we have to go and find what the Forest Hill property tax rate is. So we're going to type in Forest Hill, Texas property tax rate. Now, since Forest Hill is quite small, I don't foresee their website being too updated, but I also didn't expect them not to have a website. That's a first for me. Okay. Okay, well, that's no big deal. We're going to go to the second best. So if you cannot find the city website for whatever reason, we're going to go to the county website, and that's going to be almost as good. It's not going to be exact, but we're going to make it work. All right, so as you can see here, there's a lot of numbers, but before you check out, hang in there with me. This is a little bit more, it's easier than you might think. Right now, we might have a little bit of panic going on, a little bit of overwhelm. Remember what we just talked about. We need up to 5 numbers to consider. We need the city for sure, the county tax rate for sure, the ISD tax rate for sure, the higher education tax rate, and then we also need the hospital network. Sorry, I'm even myself, I'm getting a little bit confused here. Here we go. So city tax rate, this number right here, which is, let's be real, it's a little bit high. Just heads up, it's a little bit high for the city itself. Is the city tax rate. We're going to be using this number. We're also going to be using, I think we're going to be using Fort Worth Schools if I'm not mistaken, but let's keep going. So we have the Forest Hill city. Now we need the county, which is going to be Tarrant County. So we're going to be using this number as well. So we're going to do city of Forest Hill. We're going to be adding Tarrant County. And then we're also going to be adding Fort Worth Schools. Make sure I didn't miss it. Yeah, I'm quite certain. You're going to be using Fort Worth Schools. So we're going to be adding this tax rate. So we have the city, which is Forest Hill, the county, with its Tarrant, the ISDs, which in this case we're going to use Fort Worth ISD because that's the school district that you're going to go to, is Forest Hill. And then just to be super conservative, even though I don't think that this is going to be the case, but just to be super conservative, we're going to add 2 additional numbers. We're going to add the higher education one, so the college county part, and we're going to also add JPS. I just want to be ultra conservative, which ultimately means adding 0.3% more. of a tax rate. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to add the city. We're going to add the city of Forest Hill. So we're going to go 0.724. We're going to add Tarrant County, this right here, plus 0.1945 plus, let's go and do the ISD real quick. This is going to be the highest in all of the cities. Every city that you go to, the ISD tax rate is going to be the highest in your calculation. So it's going to be 0.06224. And up until now, for those core three that we have, the city, the county, the ISD, we're just shy of 2%. We're just shy of 2%. We're almost at 2% there. For me to be super conservative, even though I don't think, realistically, I don't think you're going to get assessed these just between us. We're going to add JPS Health Network, and we're going to add the county college. So again, the higher education and the hospital network. But again, I suspect we're not going to get assessed those, but I have been wrong before. So I'm going to add that 0.3 that I just roughly added here, and the total tax rate that we're being assessed in property taxes is going to be roughly 2.28%. 2.28% is what we're going to use for our calculation over here. So notice right before we went live, this was ULIS because I forgot to change it from Sunday's live stream. So this is ULIS's tax rate, property tax rate. Notice how big of a difference it is from Forest Hill, right? So ULIS is 20 minutes from Forest Hill, northeast, depending on traffic. 20 to 25 minutes, to be fair, northeast of Forest Hill. So just within that distance, and I could give you more exact or closer examples, but just because it was on the spreadsheet, you see the differences in property taxes. Where you live matters, not just from the real estate that you're buying, the ISD and everything else, but also the taxes that you're paying every single year. So remember, when you buy a property, you're paying property taxes until you sell that property. So every single year you're paying property taxes times the assessed value and the property tax rate that you're being assessed. You multiply that together, and then boom, that's the taxes that you owe, right? So if you have any questions on that, let me know in the chat down below, but we're going to keep going. I just wanted to show you how to go and find that property tax rate because it's different. This particular case was even more unique because I'm used to websites not being good and actually hiding the info, or maybe it shouldn't say hiding, that applies intent, and I don't want to say that. I'm used to websites not being great at demonstrating what the city tax rate is, the ISD, the everything else, but I'm not used to there not being a website for the city altogether. So we're learning things together today, which is weird because I've done 2 videos on Forest Hill already. I don't remember that being the case. It might be down for maintenance. Home insurance rate. So the home insurance rate, this is an estimate. This is an estimate that of what your premium is going to be. And the estimate is pretty simple. We're doing 0.75%. So keep in mind here, we're doing this based off of points. Since this tool was created by Win the House You Love, a partner channel of ours with Kyle Seagraves, this tool was created by a lender, is another way of saying that. They have a funny way of putting interest rates here or just percentages here. So here it's 2.8%. We just don't need to put the point. We don't need to put the decimal here. Now this is linked down below, this max price calculator. Once you get it, just go to File, make a copy, and it's yours. So there you can have it at your you can download it into your Google Drive. Property tax rate, homeowner's insurance, 0.75% times the value of the home. Now today we're gonna actually use the assessed value. What did I do? Now today we're going to use the assessed value. We're going to use the market value of the home. We're not going to use the assessed value. The assessed value is actually going to be a little bit lower. So I'm going to give you a more conservative number, both on the property tax rate and also on the home insurance front. But anyway, we're going to do 0.75%. What did I just say? I'm struggling today. Okay, forget what I just said. We're going to use the assessed value for property taxes, not for the insurance rate. So 0.75% times the value of the home, and we're going to divide that by 2 to give us an estimated premium per month. You're going to see that breakdown in the third tab once we build out the entire scenario. And we're going to do that for all 3, by the way. We're going to pretend that we're getting a conventional loan and that we have moderate credit. Now, the HOA fees, I'm going to do away with HOA fees because in Forest Hill, that's not going to really be a thing. And just so you know how big of a deal this is, I can count on one hand the amount of times that I've actually excluded HOAs from our calculations because it's that rare that they don't really become a factor whenever we're purchasing a home in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And we've done city breakdowns on over 85 cities at this point. So this is a very rare thing that I'm not even going to factor in HOA fees because they're probably not going to come up in the city of Forest Hill. So I thought that was pretty cool. For our purposes today, since we're going to shoot for a property of 130, we're going to say that we make, let's go with $60,000. That's going to be our number. Now we're going to be adjusting this as we get going because again, it's we would need different salaries in order to be able to buy these properties. But for our purposes today, we're going to say that we need $60,000 to buy the least expensive home in the city of Forest Hill right now, which is $128,000. Well, maybe I should be more exact now. There we go. All right, so that is our yearly gross income. And we can adjust this. We will need to adjust this in order to get all the calculations right on the back end. Now, what lenders are going to care about is the debt that you have. Well, for sure, the income, but they're also going to care about the debt. Now, what is debt? It means your credit card statements, payments, your car loans, your student loans, anything that has to do with child support. This is debt, things that you're making monthly payments on. Now, when it comes to expenses, the lenders do care about that, but they've already factored that into their debt to income ratio. So what are expenses? This is your groceries. This is your phone bill. This is your gas. This is your food. These are expenses that they factored into their budget, they factored into their formula of the debt to income ratio. So now they just want to see anything beyond what is traditionally, what they estimate a traditional person would pay in expenses. On top of that, what debt are you incurring? So again, this goes back to car loans, student loans, credit card payments, child support. What additional debt do you have? So the debt is what they care about, they being the lender. So this is why you're going to put the debt amount here, the minimum monthly payment that you're making on your debt, and just name the debt just for your clarity. This is not going to go to a lender. This is not going to go to me. This is for you to use on your own computer to have clarity on how much you can afford. So for our purposes today, we're just going to keep a clean balance sheet. We're going to say we have no debt. We've paid it off. Things have been going well. So I went ahead and paid everything off that I needed to. Now, if we have a co-borrower, so if you have a spouse or if you have a family member that you want to buy this house with, you would add their income here as well. And same exercise, you're going to add their minimum monthly payment that they're making on debt. Right? So if there's any questions, let me know in the chat. But we're getting ready for the big reveal. So making the assumption that we're putting 5% down, our interest rate right now that we have access to, it's going to be about 6.5%, a 30-year loan. Our property taxes in Forest Hill are going to be 2.28%. The estimated homeowner's insurance premium is going to be 0.75% of the value of the home every month. What we're going to do is we make $60,000. The most that we would be able to afford with the $60,000 income would be $255,000. That is the most. Now, this risky label here is a label that we put on there. Risky is a subjective term. Now, what we deem as risky is that you're using 61% of your net income to buy this home. Right? So whenever we do consults, whenever we do our discovery calls with our clients, we do not advise you to get into these ratios. We do not advise you to get into these ratios. So when I'm saying ratios, I mean these ratios right here and this. We don't advise you to do that. where we try to, when we do our assessments, when we do our breakdowns, we try to get you in between a moderate and an aggressive style loan. This way, you get not going to say the best of both worlds, but this way you kind of are maximizing the income that you're making, but also not, going into the being very, very, very stressed to where if something were to go wrong just 1 week or 1 month in your employment, you're not looking at not being able to make your payment the next month, right? So this is why when we do these analysis, we shoot for a loan in between a moderate and an aggressive. So what we need is for this number to be between these two numbers. And as you can see, it's actually below. So what we're going to do is we're going to adjust it so we can make this number fit these two in between these two amounts. Why? Well, because I want to give you the realistic scenario of how much you actually need to make in order to purchase a home in, at least for the lowest price home in Forest Hill. So in this case, you're actually making more than required. So what we're going to do is we're going to dial it back a bit, and let's say we make $50,000. And then we're going to scale back up so you see the differences. We're still doing good. We can still afford it. So again, we need the 130 to fit between this number and this number. So we're going to dial it back a bit. Let's say $45,000. If we make $45,000, can we still afford this house? Yeah, we can. So if we make 40,000, folks, I'm getting excited here. We're getting very close. And there you go. To buy this house, at least from now, one quick disclaimer here. When it comes to loans, when it comes to being approved, there are certain things, like if you were to get an FHA loan or if you to get a different type of loan, there might be some considerations, or there might be some like if some safety issues, and like if this was an investor property, like true investor property, to where it's it would be so run down. I'm not saying that this one is. I'm saying if it was so run down where it truly is an investor special, an investor property, that it can be unfinanceable. So because we see this number here, doesn't mean like, hey, we're automatically going to get approved, which technically you could, assuming that the property itself lends itself to being financeable. So there might be a situation where the property is just so beaten down that the bank wouldn't loan on it, right? So that would become unfinanceable. Just as a heads up, I'm not saying that that's the case here, but since we're going through scenarios, I want to give you real life scenarios and real life challenges, so as to not just say, what you typically see is, well, you just you see this a lot with investor channels, or well, all you have to do is the BRRRR method. You buy, renovate, rehab, whatever, repeat. And just they make it sound so easy, but I'm just giving you the ins and outs to where if I was going to go and execute on these, or if I was advising my clients, these are the same things that I would be sharing with them and bringing them up front. Because I would much rather you get the entire details than just speaking in abstract and hope for the best, right? I want to provide as much value to you today as possible. With that being said, here's what you would be needing, so just so you know. But now let's go and try to buy that $230,000 property. Remember, we're shooting the lowest property on the market, or we're shooting for the lowest property on the market, lowest priced. Now we're going after this one, the $230,000. How much do we need to make in order to buy that house? So if I was any type of smarter, I would have remembered what that number was. So I'm just gonna guess again. So let's say we make $50,000. We're still not there. We're still not there. So we gotta go ask for a raise real quick. What if we make $60,000? Can we afford a $230,000 property in the city of Forest Hill? So let's go back, and it's right between our numbers. So it's moderate and aggressive, between moderate and aggressive. So that's where I would feel comfortable advising you. Yeah, we can make this work. You're going to be qualified to make that purchase. Again, could you get approved up to 255 if you have strong credit? Of course. But that's not something that I would personally do. It's not something I would personally advise my family members to do, nor would I advise my clients to do. But everybody has different risk tolerance. can't live your life for you. I can just advise and share with you what I would do with my perspective. So that's when we do our calculations in the way that we're doing them right now. I'm advising that we hit between a moderate and an aggressive loan. That would be my advice. If you want to play it more conservative, power to you. You would just be shooting for numbers up here, right? So you would need to make a little bit more money in order to put the purchase price at where you would need it, so it's categorized as a moderate or conservative loan. All right, so this one was what, 38,000? That's what we needed to make. Cool. We're working with the new format, so let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about this format. Do you like it? Do you not like it? It's a different way of presenting the information. I think it's a little bit cleaner. It gives us different options, but again, this is the first time that we're using this format. So let me know what you think. If you like seeing this breakdown, should we include other type of information? I'm here for it. Just let me know. I'm formatting this on the fly. All right. What is this? 20. Okay. So we needed to make 38 over here, and over to make this work, we needed to make 60,000. All right, so now that we need to buy a $400,000 property, remember this is the most expensive home in the city of Forest Hill at the moment to buy this property right here. It's a big property, 2,700 for $400K. I might stop on the way to pick up my nephew. It's not bad. Interesting. I'll make note of that. Let's do this. So now let's go back and get a raise. We got to get this number over here, this 400K, to fit in between the moderate and the aggressive loan. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go and get another raise real quick. It's that easy. We're gonna go to and ask for $80,000 this time. Can we make $80,000 a year? What would that afford us? Not enough. So again, we're trying to get this 400K in between a moderate and an aggressive. As you can see, it's way above this and it's way above that. So let's get a little bit more aggressive with our negotiation and try to get $100,000 salary. And we're in between there. So $400,000 fits somewhere in between these two. So I'm going to call that good. We need to make $100,000 in order to buy this house of $400,000 in the city of Forest Hill. All right, so that's essentially the breakdown. But let's do this. Now that we know how much we need to make, let's pretend we're gonna buy a house in between. Let's just say this 230. You know what? Let's say we bought a house at 260,000. I think this is gonna be a good number. Let's say we buy a house at $260,000. Remember, this is linked down below, so all you have to do is go to File, make a copy, and this is yours. But let's pretend we bought a house for $260,000, which would give us roughly these houses right here. Like this house looks good. This house would look good. This house just short of that, right? Is that right? 60K. Yeah, this one we could afford. This one we could afford. These we could afford. This one might be a stretch, but let's pretend that we bought a house for $260,000. What I want to do is I want to give you where the numbers go, how the math works out for where the money's going to end up going. So if we were to buy a house for $260,000, 13,000 of that would be going for the down payment. So it would be 5% down payment. Estimated closing costs would be about $6,500. So these two numbers together are what you would need at the closing table. So you're looking at $19,500. So about $19,500 to close on this property is what you would need at the closing table the day that you close. Now that would give you a monthly mortgage payment of about $2,333, so just over $2,300 a month. Your principal and interest, so the principal is how much you borrowed, interest is how much it cost you to borrow that, would be about $1,556. Property taxes, this is why we spend so much time finding property taxes, folks. This is why we spend so much time here trying to do a little bit of bingo with property taxes. We want to know how much we're going to be paying in property taxes, a realistic amount. Now, again, as mentioned at the beginning, since we're using the market value, like what if this house was $260,000, we're actually overshooting it, because most likely if we buy a house for about 260, the assessed value is probably going to be in the 230s, 240s. So you're paying less in assessed value, which is what the county appraisal district uses. So property taxes are going to be a little bit lower than this per month. Homeowners insurance, this is an estimated premium. We multiplied 0.75% times the value of the home, divided that by 12, and we got a reasonable, pretty close to accurate homeowners insurance premium per month. Mortgage insurance, since we didn't put 20% down on the purchase of our property, remember we went here and we put 5% down. Since we didn't put 20% down on the purchase of this property, we're paying mortgage insurance. Now, if we got a conventional loan, we're paying mortgage insurance until we get 20% owner equity stake in that property, which would take about 8 to 10 years. Now, if we got an FHA loan, we're paying mortgage insurance until we pay off that loan. It does not drop away ever. So you're paying mortgage insurance for the life of that loan. And we didn't factor anything into HOAs because they're not going to be a real big thing or a consideration in Forest Hill. So it was more reasonable not to include an HOA fee than to include one. Folks, hopefully you found value in this breakdown. Let me know in the comment section what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. Also, if there's a city that you want us to dive into and really get into the math so you know how much you need to make in order to purchase in that city, I'd be glad to show you. But at this point, we have the answer, how much we need to make in order to purchase a home in Forest Hill. We can make as little as $38,000, as much as $100,000, and be in a good spot to purchase just about any real estate property in the city of Forest Hill today. If there's anything that we could do for you, let us know in the comment section down below. If you're looking to purchase or sell, our contact information is also down below. We would love to assist you in any way that we can. Outside of that, see you on the next video.